you all for joining. Really appreciate your time. And I just want to cover quickly what we're going to go through today. So first off, we'll do great. Thanks, Joseph. First off, we're going to do a quick introduction, talk about what we've learned in reference to crowdfunding. We'll cover how to craft a compelling campaign, how to attract backers, tips for getting your campaign approved, and then I'll leave time for question and answer. If you've got a question, feel free to drop it in the chat. My colleagues Samuel and Sakib are both in the chat, and they can answer questions. If they don't get to them, then I'll do my best to answer them at the end of this session. We may run a bit over since we got a bit of a late start. So first off, let me introduce myself. My name is Patrick Barron. I am a core contributor to MiniFunder. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm passionate about building fair and efficient financial market infrastructure. I've been building blockchain-based applications since 2015. And to realize projects that I've built, I've had to convince people of my vision. I've had to raise money from venture capital investors. I've had to build teams, and I've had to work tirelessly to overcome many of the challenges that I face in order to make my ideas a reality. And one of the things that we've learned is that the funding struggle is real. This is the problem that we're looking to help people solve. It's been said that fundraising is a full contact sport, and having a creative idea that you're passionate about is really just the start. You have to pour everything into it: time, energy, belief, and so much more. When it comes to funding, the focus is often on spreadsheets, and unfortunately, it's not on stories behind the creators themselves. Investors typically measure risk, not creativity, and they're looking for guarantees. They're not looking for a vision. So oftentimes, there are lots and lots of no's long before you get the shot of hearing a yes. Traditional finance relies heavily on small groups of decision makers saying yes, and innovation all too often dies not from a lack of merit, but from a lack of funding pathways. That first yes, though, is special. It's the motivation that we need to keep going. It's even more special when it comes not from a venture capitalist or an institution or a bank, but from somebody who believes in what you're building. They don't ask for projections. They simply ask, how can I help? And then they provide much needed capital. Crowdfunding enables these small contributions from many different people so that they can combine together to finance a project that might not attract traditional sources of capital. It lets you prove that there is real world demand for your product or your creative project before committing large scale production or large amounts of investment. Crowdfunding also helps you create a network of early supporters who often become your loyal advocates and will be evangelists for your creative project. And crowdfunding facilitates an exchange of value between the creator and the backer. So that first yes really changes everything because it makes the second yes and the third yes so much easier to get to. And suddenly your idea isn't just an idea anymore, it's on a path to becoming real. That's the magic of crowdfunding. It connects creators directly with people who share their visions, people who believe in their ideas, not because of a business model necessarily, but because they share the same passion. And more than ever, individuals want to be a part of something bigger than themselves. They want to contribute to the world that they want to see. Crowdfunding is no longer just an alternative to traditional funding. It's a movement. In the last decade alone, crowdfunding has unlocked billions of dollars for creators around the globe. Today, we're looking at a potential global backer pool in the hundreds of millions of people who aren't passive investors or altruistic donors, but believers in your creative potential. So we're here to help more creators get seen, more money get pledged, and more groundbreaking creative ideas come to life. So if you will, just imagine a world for a moment where you can create and launch a funding campaign as easily as a few clicks. You can connect with a global community of backers. You can be easily seen, discovered, and funded using some of the most powerful AI search tooling, recommendation engines, community-led discovery tools. And you can securely collect and deposit funds with low to no fees and in a way that has a high degree of trust. So with that being said, I would like to introduce MiniFunder. So MiniFunder's mission is to help bring creative projects to life. MiniFunder is the first application built on top of the Creative Crowdfunding Protocol, which is an open source tool set solving some of crowdfunding's biggest challenges. The Creative Crowdfunding Protocol operates independently and was shaped with input from a broad mix of creators, technologists, community members. It's designed to serve the entire crowdfunding ecosystem, not just any one platform. So if you're a crowdfunding entrepreneur, if you're a creator, then you can build on top of what we've created, and you can bring your own unique version of MiniFunder to life, composed on top of the Creative Crowdfunding Protocol. All right, so how do you craft a compelling campaign? Well, the first is to think about your title. This is the name of your project. It should be short, clear, and really grab attention, like a headline. It tells people what your project is about at a glance. The subtitle is a one-line summary that gives a little more detail. You can think of it as your project's elevator pitch. It should spark curiosity and explain why your project matters or what makes it unique. For example, in this demonstration, I've created a project called The Sockumentary, a true story of lost laundry. And it is a short film uncovering what really happens to your missing socks. And it features puppets, drama, and spin cycles. Now, this particular creative campaign has a category, film. The category is the type of project that you're creating. It helps you understand, it helps other people understand what your project is about, and it makes it easier for them to find it. You can think of choosing a category as a section in a store. Are you making a film, a game, a fashion line, a book, or something else creative? So pick the category that best fits what you're actually creating and delivering to your backers. For example, if you're making a photo book about street life in Nairobi, your category would be photography, not social impact, because the creative project you're offering is the photo book itself. And a pro tip, your category should reflect the final creative work that you're making, not just your mission or your cause. So once you got your category, the next thing you'll want to do is select a cover image. The first thing that people see is the cover image. And so it's like the front cover of a book or a movie poster. It should be very eye-catching and give a visual hint of what your project is about. You're going to want to use a high-quality image that looks good even as a small thumbnail. So you can see here the cover image that I chose for my mockumentary is our main character stuck inside the washing machine with a little sign that says, "Help me." That gives a hint that I'm building, bringing to life a creative project related to film, and that it's very lighthearted. The last is that you can add a link to a URL. This is where you can add a link to your campaign video. Usually YouTube, Vimeo works fine, or other platforms, but YouTube's the most common. And your video is a chance to tell your story, who you are, what you're creating, why people should support you, and it builds trust and excitement. So keep it clear, personal, typically under 3 minutes if you can. And as another pro tip, a strong cover image and video together, they make a big difference in helping people connect with your project and want to back it. So next is telling your story. And this is probably the most important section of the entire campaign creation process. Imagine explaining your project to a friend. What would you say? What might they ask you? And how would you show them that you're serious, that you're prepared, and that you're capable of doing a great job? Your project page is your chance to tell people that story, who you are, what you want to make, and why you want to do it. So when it comes to talking about who you are, introduce yourself. If you have a team, introduce your team. If you've done any similar work, post links to it. Backers support people, not just projects. Your story builds trust. when you talk about what you're planning to make, the more details, the better. If you have sketches, samples, prototypes, it all helps backers get excited and better understand what it is that you're bringing to life. Talking about where this project came from. Tell people how you got this idea, what inspired it, how much you've accomplished so far. Be realistic and transparent about that. Sharing the project's history can help others understand the kind of work that you do, how you go about it, and a clear story helps people say yes much faster. You're also going to want to talk about your plan. What's your schedule? Lay out clear, specific timeline that you anticipate so that backers understand what to expect. Share your plan. When you share a thorough plan, it shows people that you're serious and that you're prepared. You're also going to want to bring a budget. So a simple breakdown lets people know what you've thought about. People can see how much you anticipate it's going to cost to bring to life. And when you have a workable plan, it builds trust. And lastly, I would say it's important to talk about why you care about this. Tell people why you're passionate about the project and why you're committed to making it happen. Emotions drive action. And so really what you want to do with your story section is make people feel a connection to what it is that you're passionate about. The next section is risks and challenges. You're going to want to describe these so that you show backers that you've really thought things through. By being honest about what could go wrong and how you'll handle it, you'll build more trust. For example, maybe your film gets delayed from weather. Maybe your supplier runs out of materials, or maybe your app hits a technical bug. These things happen, and that's okay. What matters is that you're upfront and that you have a plan. This is important because, again, it builds trust. It shows you're realistic, not just optimistic. It shows you're prepared. And even if things don't go perfectly, that you've thought ahead. And it reminds people that all projects have risks, and being honest about them shows confidence, not weakness. Next is the frequently asked questions section. This is your chance to answer commonly asked questions before people have even had a chance to think of them. Think like a backer. What would they want to know? How will I get my reward? What if something is delayed? Will this work in my country? Make sure to use a friendly tone, keep answers short and clear, and focus on things like timeline, shipping, digital delivery, or anything else that's unique about your project. And remember, you can keep updating this section during the campaign as new questions come in. The goal is to make people feel informed, reassured, and ready to back your project. Next, you're going to need to decide what your funding goal is. This ties directly into the budget that you described in the story section. Crowdfunding on this platform is all or nothing, meaning that if you don't reach your goal, you won't receive any funds. This sort of all or nothing funding model protects both creators and backers. As a creator, it ensures that you're not forced to deliver a project with only part of the funding that you need, which can be financially risky or lead to broken promises. For backers, it offers confidence. They know that if they back a project and that project gets funded, the creator has what they need to succeed. And if the campaign does not get funded, then their money is returned to them. That's why having a clear, transparent budget in your story is so important. It helps you set realistic goals, and it shows backers exactly how their pledges will be used to bring the project to life. When people understand where the money is going, they're more likely to trust you and to back you. Campaign duration, every campaign runs for at least 1 day and no more than 60 days. That said, the most successful campaigns in our experience choose a duration between 30 days and 60 days. This is enough time to build momentum, reach new backers, and promote across different channels. Shorter campaigns, especially those under 30 days, tend to struggle to reach their funding goal unless you already have a large, ready-made audience from the start. And one important detail, once your campaign goes live, you can't change the duration. So choosing your campaign timeline carefully, choose your campaign timeline carefully before you launch. It's about giving yourself the time you need to tell your story, build support, and succeed. Now, this is a section that has led to a lot of questions in our support. And so I'm going to spend some time talking about items and rewards. Items are the actual creative output of your project, the things that you're making and promising to deliver to backers if your campaign is successful. This could be a short film, a photo zine, a comic book, a handmade journal, or a downloadable digital game. It could be physical or digital, but it has to be something you created. Items can't be something you bought elsewhere to resell. And they can't be things MiniFunder prohibits, like alcohol, financial services, or medicine. Every campaign must have at least one item. That's what sets creative crowdfunding apart from donations. You're not just asking for support, you're offering something in return for the pledge that's given to you. Rewards are how backers support your project. They choose a tier, and in return, they receive one or more of the items that you've created. You can also include extra perks in higher tiers like behind the scenes access, naming credits, signed editions, personal thank you notes. These bonuses add value and personality. Just remember, every reward must be clear and deliverable and composed of the items. Backers want to know exactly what they'll get, how it will be delivered to them, either digitally, physically, and when to expect it. Above all, make sure you can follow through. A simple, honest reward is better than one that's overpromised and underdelivered. For every reward tier you create, you must clearly indicate how the reward will be delivered. You have three options. The first is digital. That means that there's no shipping involved. This is great for films, ebooks, digital certificates, downloadable music, etc. The second is local pickup. If you're offering your rewards to people nearby, you can simply do local pickup, and that's an option. The third is shipping. This is for physical items like books, posters, handmade goods. If you're choosing shipping, you can set different prices by country. So international backers can be charged more if needed. This is very important. Shipping fees are collected at the time of pledge. That means you need to have your shipping costs figured out before you launch. This is to make sure that you're not caught off guard or lose money delivering rewards down the line. Backers appreciate the transparency here, so the clearer and more accurate you are, the better. Unlike items, which are simply the creative work you're making, reward tiers are where pricing happens. You set the dollar amount the backers pledge in exchange for specific combinations of items or a single item. And every reward tier must include an estimated delivery date. This doesn't need to be exact, but it should be realistic based on your plan. It's always better to underpromise and overdeliver rather than the other way around. These delivery dates help set clear expectations, and they're a key part of showing backers that you're serious and prepared. So let's put it all together. Your rewards are how people support your project, not by buying individual items, but by choosing a tier that bundles one or more item with a set price. For each reward tier, you need to clearly show what the backer gets, how they'll get it, either digitally, by local pickup, or through shipping, how much they're pledging, and when they can expect delivery. Rewards are where excitement meets logistics. So your job is to make the offer compelling and to deliver on your plan clearly. That's what builds trust, reduces confusion, helps backers feel confident pressing that pledge button. So once you've done all that, the next step is to preview it and submit for approval. Before you submit your campaign, take time to preview everything carefully. This is your chance to catch any mistakes or final edits. Some parts of your campaign cannot be changed after submission. This includes your funding goal, the campaign duration, and your reward tiers. So make sure that those are exactly how you want them. Right now, I know this is a topic that a lot of people are interested in. We have a manual review process, and I want to acknowledge that it is currently too slow to get your campaigns reviewed and either approved or rejected. We are working actively to build a faster, more automated approval system to help with the high quality campaigns and get them launched more quickly. We're improving on this process. It's one of our top priorities. And in a moment, I'll talk more about how to get your campaign approved. But first, I just want to thank you for your patience. I want you to know that we are aware that this needs improvement, and we're actively working to get campaigns through the approval process more quickly. But next, let's talk about how to attract backers. So what you want to do is get your network to back your MiniFunder campaign. Promotion should be a part of your campaign planning from the very beginning. So while an exceptional project can find outpourings of support from all over the web, much of your support may still come from people who already know your work. You're going to want to begin by making a list of everyone you plan to reach out to about your project. For example, think of at least 50 people you've emailed or texted in the last year. These are likely to be the people who will support your project on day one. Collect their email addresses, their social media handles, their phone numbers into a single place. Next, segment your contacts into a few different groups. Think friends, family, fans, coworkers, industry contacts, and draft specific messaging for each group. For example, frame your message to your friends around specific reward tiers that you think might appeal to them and give them a reason why. It's a good idea to create a calendar. Think through your calendar holistically. How will you promote your project pre-launch, on day one, on week 2, and beyond? Put together a week-by-week calendar to schedule emails, social media announcements, project updates, and more. For example, at least 1 week before, draft social media posts, newsletters, or other content to announce your project. Share your pre-launch and/or your preview page with 10 of your friends. At week 1, announce to your mailing list, social media followers, and friends and family. Weeks 2 and 3, plan 2 strategies that you'll use to push through the very common mid-campaign plateau. And then anytime during the course of the campaign, draft project updates, including your never-before-seen photos, videos, or your project. Keep your backers engaged and continuously use your social media channels. So you really want to announce with a bang. Once it goes live, let people know. Send personal emails to your contacts, alert your wider mailing lists, and share through all of the channels that you have. MiniFunder is built on the MiniPay application, and it does have a lot of users. But what we find is that the creators who really leverage their networks get the momentum going for themselves. So the idea around messaging is to put yourself in other people's shoes. If you're going to pitch your project to the press, which I think can be a good idea, you're going to want to reach out to journalists about who you are, what you're doing, when it's happening, and why you're doing this. Very much the components of your story. Journalists appreciate concise messages. Give them exactly the information that they need. And remember that social media platforms like X are your friends. A lot of journalists keep their emails public and they keep their direct messaging open because they want stories to come to them. Next, we are in the process of adding share your campaign linking. This is coming soon. This will help you spread the message about your campaign and get people to your campaign page. The way that it'll work is that you'll get a direct link to your campaign. You can share it with your friends and family through social media. If somebody already has MiniPay, then the link opens directly in MiniPay and it goes directly to your app page. If they do not already have MiniPay downloaded, the wallet, then it takes them to the App Store and it prompts them to install it so that they can add funds to their account and pledge those funds to your campaign. The idea is to make it easy for people to support your project. Again, this will be coming in the coming weeks. Okay. Next, let's talk about tips for getting your campaign approved. Getting your campaign approved isn't about jumping through hoops. It's about making sure that your project is clear, honest, genuine, and creative. MiniFunder exists to help creative work come to life, and our job is to protect the trust of the community, both creators and backers. In this section, we're going to talk about what gets approved, what doesn't, and how to avoid common mistakes that tend to slow things down. Campaigns that are approved share a few key qualities. First, they're building something creative, whether it's a short film, a podcast series, an art book, a clothing line, or something else creative. Second, the creator, that's you, has a clear plan to actually make and deliver what you're promising to backers. And third, everything is laid out honestly, what you're making, how much you need to make it, how long it'll take, and what people will get in return for backing your campaign. A good test is this. At some point, you should be able to say to your backers, it's finished. Here's what we created. Enjoy. If you can picture yourself saying that, then your project is probably a good fit for MiniFunder. On the other hand, there are some things that we can't approve. And in most cases, it's because they go against the platform rules or could put backers at risk. Projects can't fundraise for charity. While nonprofits are welcome to launch a project on MiniFunder, projects can't promise to raise funds to donate to a charity or a cause. Funds raised must go towards facilitating a creative project that's outlined by the creator. Campaigns that are just fundraising for personal expenses like rent, debt, or medical bills will not be approved. Same goes for campaigns that resell products that you didn't make, or that offer financial returns or investment opportunities. None of those will be approved. And there's a list of things that are just prohibited outright, like alcohol, live animals, political fundraising, any form of hate speech. We know many of these causes or ideas are well-intentioned, but the platform that we're building is focused on bringing creative projects with tangible rewards. Even if your project is creative, we still need to make sure that it's presented clearly and honestly. That means no fake imagery or renders pretending to show functionality that does not exist. If you're creating something complex like hardware or a physical product, you'll need to show that you have a working prototype. Also, don't call your reward a pre-order. Backers are supporting the creative process. They're not buying something off of a shelf. And don't promise to donate all the money to charity or a cause instead of creating a project. That turns it into a donation drive, which we can't allow. This all comes back to the same core idea: clarity, honesty, and trust. All MiniFunder campaigns use an all or nothing funding model. This means that if you don't hit your campaign goal that you chose, you don't receive the funds, and backers get their money back. This is important because it protects everyone. If a creator raises only half the money they need, they could struggle to deliver or even go into debt trying. Backers get peace of mind as well in this model. They know that either the project is fully funded and can move forward, or their pledge stays with them. This is why having a clear, complete budget matters so much. Your funding goals should include everything you need to complete and deliver on your project. If you're not sure, you can submit it anyways. All MiniFunder campaigns, if your campaign is missing a few details, we'll likely ask for edits. You might get a conditional approval with suggestions, and we're here to help you succeed, not gatekeep. So clear, honest, creative projects, we're going to do what we can to get them through and get them live and get them funded. All right, those are all of the slides that I had prepared. So at this point, I'm happy to take some questions. Let me just take a look. If you have questions, please type them into the chat box. We'll get as many of them answered as we can. So I'll just pause real quick and scroll back through. Any questions that anybody has, feel free to type them up. If there's anything that was unclear, then please ask it. Now's a good time to do that. Great. So with that being said, looks like we've got all the questions answered. Let's build something amazing together. We really appreciate your time and interest. Please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you so much for joining us today. Take care.